All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about the super high stakes world of technology insurance. I know. It might not sound like the most exciting topic, but in a world that basically runs on code, you have to understand how businesses protect themselves from a total digital disaster. It's absolutely essential. So let's get into it.
To really get a handle on what's at stake here, let's look at what happens when tech goes, well, catastrophically wrong. Because in the world we live in now, just one tiny error, one little mistake, can spiral into something with massive real world consequences.
It all kicked off with something that seems so routine, something that happens every single day in the tech world, a simple software update. In this case, it was pushed out from a major cybersecurity firm to one of its biggest clients, a huge global airline. But yeah, this was no simple glitch. That one update triggered a massive IT outage. We're talking more than 7,000 flights grounded and over 1 million passengers just stranded. It was a complete operational nightmare, and that's putting it lightly. And this is where the story gets really juicy. This wasn't just a bad day at the office for the airline. Nope. Delta Airlines turned around and sued the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike for a jaw-dropping $500 million. The claim? Gross negligence. This case is just a perfect example of how a technical glitch can morph into a massive financial and legal catastrophe. Now, that airline disaster, that's a huge story for sure. But honestly, it's just the tip of the iceberg. The whole nature of technology risk has changed dramatically. It's not just about servers going down anymore. It's so much more complicated. Just take a look at this. Yesterday, the big worries were pretty straightforward. Server outages, simple software bugs, annoying but manageable. Today, whoa, we're in a whole different league. We're talking about class action lawsuits over biased AI, huge legal fights over privacy, and even accusations of deliberately destroying digital evidence. The entire game has changed. So let's talk Meta. Their pixel tracking tool, you probably encountered it on countless websites. Well, it's been the target of more than 50 class action lawsuits. The main accusation is that it was illegally snooping on sensitive information, including protected health data, which could be a violation of not just privacy laws, but wiretapping laws. And hey, it's not just Meta. Amazon's been in the hot seat too. They've faced lawsuits for supposedly tracking and selling user data that they've gathered from their entire ecosystem. We're talking everything from Ring doorbells to Alexa devices. It just goes to show you the massive risk that comes with collecting data from so many different places. And what about the new stuff like AI? Well, the risks there get even crazier. Google's AI was actually accused of eavesdropping on phone calls. A powerful, innovative technology suddenly becomes a potential violation of state law. So the real takeaway here is this. Today's biggest tech risks, they're often legal and ethical, not just technical. Okay, so with all these new kind of terrifying risks out there, how does a company even begin to protect itself from a $500 million lawsuit? Well, this is where a very specific kind of financial shield comes into play. It's called Tech E&O and cyber insurance. So what is it exactly? Well, Tech E&O, that stands for errors and omissions, it's an insurance policy built specifically for the kind of risks we've been talking about. Think of it this way. It's a safety net designed to catch you and cover the financial losses when your technology fails, you make a mistake in your services, or a cyber event like a data breach happens. But here's the thing. You can't just, sign up for this stuff. Insurers have to decide if you're a good bet. So let's pull back the curtain and take a look inside the underwriter's playbook to see exactly how they look at a modern tech business. So underwriters have this playbook, right? It's basically a 5-step game plan. First, they have to understand your entire data world. Then they dig into your security and how you'd actually respond if something bad happened. They'll pore over your contracts, think about your specific industry, and finally, they weigh your total risk against everything you've done to lower it. Now, of all those steps, there's one that is by far the most important. It's that first one, the deep dive into your data. How a company collects, stores, uses, and shares data, that is the absolute bedrock of its entire risk profile. Everything else is built on top of that. So what are they actually asking? Now, what's really cool here is that these questions, they aren't just for the insurance folks. If you're running a business, you need to know the answers to these. What kind of data are you collecting? Is it personal? Is it health-related? Is it financial? Where do you even keep it? Who can touch it? And the big ones. Are you compliant with major privacy laws like GDPR and HIPAA? And is that data locked down with encryption? Your answers here basically decide if you're insurable or not. Now, while every tech company goes through this kind of inspection, there are a few industries that get put under an even brighter, more intense spotlight. Let's take a look at who they are and, more importantly, why. First on the list, you guessed it, AI companies. The risks here are brand new, they're cutting edge. We're talking about massive privacy issues with the data used to train the models, the very real potential for biased algorithms to cause discrimination, and all sorts of intellectual property fights over how these models were even built. All right, next up, we have fintech. And here, it's all about two things: money and rules. These companies are huge targets for payment fraud. They face unbelievable fines if they don't follow regulations, and just one data breach could expose incredibly sensitive financial data. And last but not least, SaaS providers, software as a service. For them, a lot of the risk is about keeping the lights on, so to speak. A service outage for them can grind their clients' businesses to a complete halt. They rely heavily on cloud security, and all those integrations they have with other apps can open up all kinds of unexpected security holes. Now, this table really breaks it all down beautifully. You can see right away how different these industries are. See how for AI, a primary risk is model bias, but for fintech, it's payment fraud. And check out regulatory complexity. It's very high for fintech, but for AI, it's high and evolving, which means nobody even knows all the rules yet. Each industry has its own unique risk fingerprint, and underwriters have to know it inside and out. Okay, so we've peeked inside the underwriter's playbook. The real question is, how would your own business hold up under that kind of inspection? You can actually use their process as a kind of readiness scorecard for your own company. So here's your roadmap to becoming a better risk and hopefully more insurable. First, you have to map out your data, know exactly what you have and where it's going. Second, comb through your vendor contracts and look for any liability gaps. Third, just make sure you're compliant with all the big privacy laws. And finally, you have to test your incident response plan before you actually need it. Doing this stuff shows you get it. You understand the risks and you're ready for them. So, let's leave you with this final thought. We live in a world where the technology, the threats, and the laws are all changing constantly. In that kind of world, a static defense is no defense at all. So the most important question for any business today isn't just if you're protected, it's whether your protection is evolving as fast as the world around you.